Hello and welcome to Goddess Resurrection. My name is Britta and I am your host, and today's episode is on feminine energy made simple. It's oftentimes this question, really? That's feminine energy? What is actually feminine energy? Is this behavior feminine energy? So I've been asked this many, many times over, and I felt it was really important for us to dive into the more specifics as to what is actually feminine energy and what is masculine energy. And I made this little graph here for us to work with to help my visual learners, because I've also had some requests from my visual learners that are easier to take on this information when they can see, in addition to just hearing it. For my audio listeners, I have a graph here. It's really just a very simple line. It's just one line and it's split in half. One half of the line is red. That's representing the feminine energy. And the other half of the line is in blue, representing the masculine energy. So for my audio listeners, I will tell you which one I am pointing to, just so I can help you get that visual in your mind's eye. But before we dive in, hello, my gorgeous sister. How are you? I hope you are well. I hope you are breathing and feeling, and you are practicing being in your feminine energy and slowing down and being in your body and grounding and listening to your intuition and getting in touch with yourself to deeper and deeper and deeper levels, which of course allows for this self observation that is goddess work, right? Goddess is very aware of herself always. Remember last time, your space, goddess is always very aware of her own energy, of her own space, of her inner knowing and intuition and gut and the sensory, right? That opens, that the more that we are in our feminine energy, the more our sensory opens, meaning we can feel, we can read the energy of people, of places, of things. We have an energy sense for what might happen. We can foresee things, right? We can telepathically communicate with people. We can also predict certain events or outcomes or situations just by reading into it and by seeing into it. And so we are in the age of Aquarius. We are in the time of the goddess, which is the golden age, and manifesting the new earth, right? The golden age is the new earth. Ascension is what is taking us into our new earth experience, meaning higher dimensional existence while we are still in human form. And the simplicity of the feminine energy is everything to the ascension, because your feminine energy is your ascension energy. When we're talking about new earth manifestation, you being in your goddess, that is you being in your feminine energy. Meaning you are in tune with yourself, you are connected to your soul, you are in alignment with your divinity. That is what goddess work is about, right? It's not a religion. This is not a religion. This is not, excluding any religion either. It is simply you being who you really are. Whether you like to call it stardust or extension of source, or maybe you like to see yourself or say that you are creator incarnate. And this also has nothing to do with ego, right? It's not, oh yeah, I'm creator. Oh yeah, I'm goddess. I am better than, I'm mightier than. And that is never goddess, ever, right? That's ego. Goddess is very grounded in her humility. She owns her grace. She owns her powers. She owns her worth to the utmost degree. But she is never in her ego about it, right? Because it's the simplicity of being. When you are so deeply aligned within yourself as divinity, as source, as light, you just are. And through you flows the magnificence, the powers, the gifts, the talents, the abilities, the joys, the love, the strength, the inspiration, the creativity, the forgiveness, the patience of your true self, of your creator self. And that is goddess. That is goddess work. And so from here, let's dive in, because this is a great hook. This is a great way to enter into this. So for my audio listeners, I've got this graph here in front of me. And when we're looking at goddess work, and when we're looking at the balance, let's go all the way back, and then we'll get into it, and we'll get into further and deeper details. But let's back all the way up. When we're looking at the balance, because there's so much information out there that says we have to balance on the inside. Now, when we have half of this line being feminine and the other half masculine, what does that mean to balance ourselves on the inside? What does it mean to balance our feminine and masculine energy? Well, when we're coming at it from the bigger picture perspective, from the soul perspective, the masculine, now I'm touching the blue part of the line, the masculine energy is the physical incarnation. The masculine energy is the physical body. The masculine energy is the thinking, the external, the speaking, the learning. The masculine energy is how we're reacting, or how we're choosing, or how we are engaging with life. It is everything that's physical. The masculine energy, the blue part of the line, is the balance to the feminine. Now I am touching the red part, the red line. The feminine is your divinity. The feminine is your light. The feminine is your soul. The feminine is everything that's intangible. The feminine is everything that is the abstract, cannot be seen. Although as we are opening and as we're connecting more, we can see energy. I can see energy. I see people's auras. I see people's dynamics. I see spirit. I work with spirit. I communicate with spirit. So, and I'm sure many of you are as well, right? And so, the more that we are growing in consciousness, the more that we are elevating in consciousness, I'm on the red line now, still, we are in the feminine. The feminine is who you really are. It is through the feminine that we read energy. It is through the feminine energy that we see, that we have foresight, that we can read into a person's energy, that we can get a feeling for the future or what may happen. It is through the feminine energy that we channel, right? So many people are channeling now and are opening because the consciousness is rising. And so it is through the feminine energy that we receive higher guidance. It's through the feminine energy that we receive our higher self. It is through the feminine energy that we receive our intuition, our gut knowing, our hunch. It is through the feminine energy that we are in alignment with our highest self. And it is through the masculine energy. Now I'm going back to the blue part of the line. It is through the masculine energy that we play human. And the masculine energy is everything that we can measure. And it's the brain, and it's the thinking, it's the wanting to measure everything. It's the old patterns, everything that's patterned, everything that's ego, everything that's external. That is all the masculine energy. So really, when we're looking at the larger picture of the balance, we are already the balance, meaning the soul that you are is already this part of the balance, and the physical body that you are is already this part of the balance. Sorry, listeners, one more time. The soul that you are is already the red part of the line, the feminine. And the physical body that you are is already the blue part of the line, the masculine. You already are the balance. You already are in balance. Let's dive in a little closer. Let's go in and let's get more specific, masculine. And so now I'm going to go all the way to the end, to the highest part, to the part that is the furthest away from the middle on the masculine side. When somebody is over here, all the way on the masculine end, all the way on the end of the blue line, at the end of the masculine spectrum, this is when the physical reality is all that is. This is when people believe only what they can see. This is when people are generally quite in their ego, in their patterning, and obviously disconnected from their balance. It is an illusion. Right? This disconnect is an illusion because they are always the soul, the red line. They are always the soul that they will be once they leave the body, and the soul that's present while in the body. But when a human is all the way on the very end of the blue line in the masculine, and they only believe what they can see, and they only trust what can be measured, and they only believe in the here and now, the physical, and they make fun of the spiritual, and they suppress emotion, and they're completely disconnected from their intuition. They're completely shut down on the heart level, right? Because to be this far on the masculine end, generally has that effect of complete disconnect. And this is a human, you might know a human like this, where they do not believe that there's anything besides this physical reality. They're not open in the heart. They are shut down to their intuition. They don't listen to their intuition. It gets probably overridden by their thinking, their intellect, their reasoning, their IQ, their ego identification with self. Now let's come over to the feminine. We're going all the way over to the furthest from the center on the red line, on the feminine line, and we're all the way out, all the way to the extreme end of the feminine energy. This is where most of us are born. When we are born, we are pure from the source. When we're born, when we're babies, we are innocent and pure. We're still so connected to the divine, right? When babies, small children, there is no judgment. They don't see color. There is no hatred. There is no separation. Children are pure, 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 pure from source in their feminine energy. They don't even understand their body yet, right? I've had a child, and I'm sure if you've had a child or if you've been around children, you know that especially when they're small still, everything is a discovery, right? The nose, the hair, the earrings, everything is a discovery. Their own toes, right? They eat, everything goes in the mouth because they are not even yet in their body, right? They're not even understanding yet that they are in a body. They are pure consciousness, clean slate, nothing yet is conditioned into their human bodies, into their physical bodies just yet. Of course, they have the primitive area of the brain. They have the fight flight. In children, babies are born with two fears: the fear of loud noise and the fear of falling. So yes, they come in with some human conditioning. Of course, we also come in with past life energy. But let's leave that off the table for today. And so here we are, born, right? Children remember, they remember past lives, right? They remember who they were, or they can even recall the language, or they have dreams even of, and there's much research being done on that now, where, and you can Google it, right? Children remember where the murder weapon was buried, and so on and so forth. So children, just so pure, just so open. Life is an adventure. They're fearless, right? Because remember, we're born with only two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noise. So there's no fear in the light, right? This end of the spectrum of the feminine energy of the red line is just beautiful, pure, fearless discovery of life. Here to learn it all, here to discover it all. And children are very playful. And that's also feminine energy. Feminine energy is the creativity. Feminine energy is curiosity. Feminine energy is unconditional love. Children, like I've said, have no judgment, have no hatred, have no sense of separation, have no sense of right or wrong. Children are just innately curious and unconditional and accepting of everybody and everything. They don't care about skin color or religious views or differences. They don't care if their parents are rich or poor. They don't care what skin color their parents have or what car they drive. Children, pure, 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 pure from the source. And then life happens, right? So we're being born and we're discovering the world. And in this process of growing up, we are now being pulled out of our feminine energy. Or at least let me reframe that. We have been pulled out of our feminine energy. I myself have always made it important to keep my daughter in her feminine energy as well as in her masculine energy. And, so she's very much in her feminine energy. But not all parents are aware of this. So generally, and let me use myself as an example, because I have been up and down, back and forth, the entire spectrum. I know. So here, on the far end of the feminine energy spectrum, I was born a claircognizant, which means I was born with all the sensory open. I was always able to see spirit, communicate with spirit, know spirit, feel spirit, right? All sensory open. And I have memory of myself. I was born and raised in Germany. And I have memory of myself where I was about 1. And I'm standing in my crib and I'm speaking with Source, and I'm like, this sucks. Like, this really sucks. I don't like it here. Like, what is this? I was really upset. My parents were super busy, super preoccupied, already fighting a lot. And I just felt very left alone. I was already experiencing abandonment. But I had my communication, but it was already a big contrast, right? So here I am experiencing the pain of human life, as most children do. Children begin to experience the disconnect, the separation, the disappointments, the lack, the limitation, right? Because no parent is perfect. And there is guaranteed to be moments where children will feel left or abandoned or disappointed, right? And that's still the positives. I mean, gosh, so many children are having to suffer so much worse. But so as I was growing a little older, the human part became more and more my identity, right? As it does with all of us. And I was still in awareness and communication with Source, but not as much, not as pure anymore, because as I was about 4 or 5, that's when I began to go pretty dark. When I was 5, I caught my dad cheating on my mom. I never shared that with my mom or anybody. I kept that inside of myself, and I became very heavy and very depressed. And it was about when I was 5 that I was thinking I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself. Like, I was so unhappy. My mom was unhappy. My dad was unhappy. They were fighting, right? It was just like, I was like, this sucks. This sucks. And I felt extremely alone and abandoned. And when I and I was and I turned into what they call the little devil child, because I wanted attention. And my parents were always busy, right? So as I was growing older, I was about 6, and I was just terrorizing. I was terrorizing my nannies. I was I was terrorizing my dad had a business. And I was terrorizing the people that work there. I mean, I was really like a little devil child. I didn't know better. I just wanted some attention. I wanted somebody to pay some attention to me. And so I was about 6 years old when my parents sent me away to well, it was really for weather change because I had weak lungs. And but it was a camp for difficult children. And the woman there, she was the auntie, we had to call her. And her and I mean, we were battling so hard. I gave her such a hard time. I just had a ball with it. I was so fierce with her. It was crazy. She told my parents that picked me up after 6 weeks that I would not make it as a normal adult, that they need to be prepared that I would end up drugging, alcohol, lust. I would not be a productive citizen of this world. And so cut to, so here you can see, right? I was already very much in my masculine energy, very much in the, external. I was still aware of spirit and seeing spirit often, but not in that purity that I was when I was younger. Now, then from here, things just got worse and worse and worse, and my parents got really bad. And when I was 8, I saw my dad beating my mom really bad. And that night I told her, we're packing our bags, we're leaving. This is not acceptable. We're done. And she's like, really? And I was like, yep. So I was now totally in my masculine, making these decisions for her. And moving in with my mom and my brother, we moved away. And then from there, my dad was completely gone, like gone from our lives. So big abandonment stuff, right? Big, big, big. So just moving more and more and more into masculine. And then I became a fashion model. So you would think that fashion industry is feminine, right? But it's not at all. Not at all. Feminine fashion industry, it might be different now, but the way I experienced it, being in the ego, posing, having to pretend and show up and right and survive in that world that was, pretty misogynist. It really just drove me all the way to that masculine end, to that I was so in my ego, I was so in the external, I was so in that patterning of, I don't need anybody, I don't need anything. Of course, total coping mechanisms, right? Of course. But that's where I was. And I was so disconnected from myself, from who I was, from my true self, which allowed me to see, sense, feel, know, speak with spirit all the time. I was so disconnected from that I was even an atheist. Like I wanted nothing to do with spirit because I was so mad. I was so angry. I was so hurt, right? I was total anxious avoidant, but also anxious attached, right? Because all of these coping and protection mechanisms are all masculine energy. It's all masculine energy. And so from here, what I then had to do was I had to heal. And it's the healing that brings us down that masculine end further and further and further into the middle, right? It's the healing that helps us come back into the connection, because it's the ego, it's the patterning, it's the coping, it's the reaction, it's the addictions, right? It's all of this patterning that disconnects us from our feminine energy. And it was through the healing that we open these patterns. By healing the wounding, we clear that energy that took the space up, right? By healing, we clear the trauma. By healing, we open the heart. Through the healing, we open up and we come back into the inside. Because all of the patterning that's on the blue line on the masculine side, that is all patterning that blocks us from who we are on the inside. And the more that we heal, and the more that we go deep within, and the more that we learn to slow down and self-observe, and the more that we can be unconditional with ourselves, knowing that whenever we're acting, knowing that whenever there is fear, knowing that whenever we're just, doing something to get attention, knowing that whenever there is a sense of separation or judgment or personalization, it's always masculine energy. Always, always, because feminine energy, we're on the red line now, is who we really are. And so I felt this was important for you to see that it doesn't matter how disconnected one is. We will always return back to who we really are on the inside in our essence. Some may not do it in this lifetime, but every soul will go through that process. I had to learn all of this, the blue side of the spectrum, so I could do this work. I had to learn the ego. I had to learn the disconnect. I had to, from my soul agreement for my purpose, I had to know how it happened, what took me there. And through the healing, I also learned how to come out of it, how to unravel it, how to clear these energies, right? Because it's very simple when you just think of it in terms of energy. It was through the healing of myself and recognizing my ego voice and knowing and feeling the difference between open heart and closed heart, knowing when I was reacting and contracting or when I was allowing myself to just breathe and feel it through and be authentic with myself, right? And so it is the healing that is necessary to clear the patterns that cover up your true self, your true power, your goddess. Believe me, I've learned from experience. I've been all the way to hell and back. Yeah. So, but let's dive into it just a little bit more. And I want to use an example that is out there a lot. It's the black cat energy. And so this is very important when we think about goddess work and healing and authenticity, right? Because when we're on the red line, on the feminine energy side, it is authenticity, right? It is being in the feminine energy is being connected to self. Being in the feminine energy is staying in self and your own energy. Being in the feminine energy means you are listening to yourself, to your intuition, to your guidance, to your gut, you're sensing, you're feeling, you're trusting that sensory, that knowing, that reading of the energy. You're just in yourself. And this is the place from which you operate. And so this black cat concept out there that I'm seeing and hearing a lot is something that is not goddess, okay? Because it's masculine energy. Black cat is masculine energy. It is reaction. It is dressing up sexy to get attention. Masculine energy. It is, giving the cold shoulder or, not responding because you're mad or you want more attention from your partner or you want them to chase you. And that's masculine energy. And so that black cat energy, it does work with some men. right? It does work with some men. It works with men that are not divine masculines. It works with men that are, they're just normal guys and they don't have much interest in their growth or healing or evolution. And, you know, they are still in their ego and they're still in their patterning, but that's okay for them. And they don't really want to change. And so those are the kind of guys that it will work for, right? And that will get them. You will get the result with the black cat energy if if that's the guy you want. But as a goddess, and we're looking to be in the new earth, right? You, my audience here, we're looking to elevate, right? We're not interested in anything or anybody that doesn't want to change, evolve, grow, and illuminate and get better and better and brighter still, right? We're wanting divine feminine, divine masculine. We're wanting divine union that is soul connected, soul driven, soul guided. And so this is why it is so important to make that differentiation, because it is a bit of a fine line. Because being in your feminine energy, I'm on the red line again now, being on the feminine line, it doesn't mean that you smile not to rock the boat. It doesn't mean you're just lovely all the time, even though you're feeling pain on the inside. It doesn't mean you're pretending to listen when in your mind you're super upset, right? It doesn't mean any of that. Being in your feminine energy is authenticity. It's you being authentic with yourself. And what you need to remember is that the more that you are healing and the more that you come into your feminine energy, it is really not necessary for you to be in any of the patterns any longer. This is why that the more that you are healing, the deeper you're connecting back into your goddess, right? We are basically making our way all the way out of the patterning back into our essence. We're now leaving the blue line onto the red line, all the way back to the end. And this is where I've said many times before, we're returning to our innocence. We are returning to our purity. We're returning to our fearlessness. But it's now knowing the difference. We're knowing the illusion. We're knowing the patterning, because it's through the healing that we actively choose out of it. We're actively opting out of the mask, the pretend, the playing games. We're actively opting out of the mediocre karmic setups of relationship, because we want better and we deserve better and we're here to claim better, right? We want it all now. And so therefore, heal, 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 heal. Deeper, 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 deeper. Slow it down, self-observe, focus onto the breath, be in your grounding, stay in your own energy. And so from here, let's come back to the black cat example one more time. You in your goddess, you in your self-awareness. Let's say you're with your partner and your partner does something or says something that hurts you, or something that just isn't sitting right with you, that it doesn't feel right to you. You're not going to pretend, but you're also not going to put on a mask, or, turn away, or be mean, or act out emotion, which that's all blue line, by the way, all masculine energy. No, you want to heal to the point where you stay in your feminine energy, so that what you do when you're in the feminine energy is similar to the black cat, but not the same. Because what you do is you stay in your own energy. You pull your energy back. You pull your energy back and you are staying in your own energy field, in your own space. Remember, out to the fingertips, it's an auric field. That is your space that you stay within. And make sure you pull all of your energy back from your partner, from other people, so that you're fully in your own energy and you're breathing and you're feeling and you're processing through whatever happened. Feeling it first, processing first, tending to yourself first, making sure you're settling back into your feminine energy, making sure you're in yourself, in your beautiful flow of self-love, and tending to yourself so that your cup is full and overflowing, so that you are in loving compassion and acceptance with yourself. And if you are with a divine masculine, because the divine masculine also needs to be in tune with his feminine energy. The divine masculine must know his emotions, must be so in tune with the sensitivities that he will feel. You don't have to say anything. He'll feel that you've pulled your energy back. He'll feel that you are not open to him. He'll feel, just by you staying in yourself, you probably, if he's a real divine masculine, you won't even have to say a thing. Because the divine masculine wants for you to be open to him, because that's his source access. You being in your feminine energy is his access to the divine. So if he's a real divine masculine, that's important to him. That matters to him, that you are in your feminine, that you are in your joy. And he doesn't want you to feel upset. He doesn't want you to feel hurt. He doesn't want you to feel disrespected. He doesn't want you to have anything that's keeping you in your energy by yourself. And he'll know exactly why you're in that way. He'll know exactly what happened if he's really tuned into you. And then, of course, there can be some communication, right? If necessary. But, that's the level we are looking to embody. And that is, of course, like we said in the last episode, you being in your feminine energy, you being in your own space. From here, you are already the balance, because you have a body and you're using this body every day, all the time. So you are already in the balance. You don't need to be right here in the middle. You don't need to be over here to be at work. You don't need to be in the blue line to be at work. The deeper you heal, the more it'll make sense to you that being in the red line, being in your feminine energy, is everything. That is the balance to playing human. The more that you heal your way back down, deeper down, deeper down, deeper down through the layers, the fears, the hurts, the traumas, the wounding, deeper, deeper, deeper down. The deeper you go into yourself, the more you will be in your fullest worth, fullest joy, fullest self-love, self-acceptance, self-support. The more you will be all that light, your light is going to start embodying, because remember, that's the ultimate goal, right? That is your divinity. Your light is the new earth. Your light is expansion of consciousness. Your light is you living in a completely different dimensional reality than somebody who's totally disconnected from their true selves. So the balance is not about you being in the middle between the two lines, being in the middle between the red and the blue. That's not the case. You have a body. and you are a soul. Body being blue, masculine, soul being red, feminine. So the balance is already you. Your job is to stay in the feminine energy, because now you're truly in the balance. You're honoring your balance, knowing who you really are, staying in who you really are, feminine energy, red line, while very actively and very consciously not only working with your energy, but with the thoughts that you choose to engage, with the words that you choose to speak, with the way that you perceive people and places and things, because the more that you are in your feminine energy, the more you're accessing higher perspectives, the more that you are deeply down on the other, like far side of your feminine energy, the more you can really hold so much energy, so much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much light. You are being who you really are while consciously playing human. That is New Earth. That is the magic of the New Earth, because you're not needing to disconnect anymore being on the blue line. No, you can be all the way in your feminine energy, really in alignment, really in authenticity, one and open with the infinite possibilities of spirit, sensing, knowing, feeling, foreseeing life as it unfolds, and enjoying the pleasures of the body, and enjoying life to its fullest from an authentic alignment, from a clear and honoring place of the soul that you are, and your worth, and your values and your standards, and everybody else as the soul that they are, with their values and their standards and what they need, right? So this healing your way all the way down into the feminine energy is ultimate freedom. It's the ultimate freedom from the overwhelm, from the overthinking, from the loneliness, from the lacking, from the victimization, from disconnect, discontent, scarcity. It is the way of the New Earth. It is the way into your freedom. And it is the way into all of your powers. Now, I know I'm running over, but I'm having so much fun. There's one more thing that I want to share quickly. There was one thing that gets you as a woman into your masculine energy, and it's a thing that you won't expect. And it's becoming a mother. It's becoming a mother, because let's say you are very much in your feminine energy, right? Sorry, my nose is tickling. Let's say you're very much in your feminine energy, and you're in yourself, and you're in your own energy, and you are the light flowing, and you are here with your partner, and you guys are having fun, and he's so manly and you're so feminine. And again, could be same sex, doesn't matter, right? But masculine energy, feminine energy, and life is amazing, and you're traveling, and you're laughing, and you're enjoying each other, and you are, in the polarization of the experience. So the chemistry is there, and lots of physical connection. And then you get pregnant. And then all of a sudden, as a mother, when you give birth, you are now tending to this being, right? Because remember, feminine energy is you taking care of yourself first. Feminine energy is you tending to yourself. It's not reaching out too much, right? It's you staying in yourself. And now that you gave birth and you're tending to this being, not only is all of a sudden all of your focus leaving yourself, you are abandoning yourself. Most women do. Not only are you abandoning yourself, you are focusing, fixating on this being that you love so much. So it's very natural because you're here to feed it. You're here to make sure it's safe. You're here to tend to it. You're here to protect it. And then on top of it, many women now, of course, then also have to go back to work. So now not only externally focused in the mother brain, but thinking about the child. Oh, she's sick. Oh, he's got the school event. Oh, I've got to drive them there. Oh, I've got to do this. And then on top of it, most women then also need to tend to the house. What am I going to make for dinner? I've got to go food shopping. Oh, I've got to fix, I got to call the plumber. The gardeners need to come. You know what I mean? Like cooking, cleaning, shopping, tending, organizing. Mothers are in the masculine energy because they're organizing the children, they're organizing their lives, they're organizing their clothes, they're organizing their lunches, they're organizing their transportation, they're organizing their play dates, they're organizing the home, the room, the clothes, the everything. So just as a little side note, just a little FYI, it takes a lot to stay in your feminine energy when you have small children and this is your child or these are your children. And some women can do it. I've definitely seen some women that are just born to be mothers. Just all they ever wanted to do, all they ever cared to do, and they can really roll with it. But most women, and most of the women that I work with, were transported from the red line, from the feminine into the blue line, and they didn't even know it. And they didn't even realize it. And they didn't even anticipate it. Right? Because it's just something that you do. It's just something that you have to do, unless you have so much money that you can afford a cook and a cleaning lady and, a personal assistant. That's when the woman can relax and stay in her feminine energy and really just be that nurturing energy and play with her child and laugh with her child and and tend to these things. And it's, no pressure when all these other things are cared for. But generally, most women don't have that luxury. And so it's something to be aware of. It's something to realize that the most feminine, most nurturing, or what we consider feminine role, becoming a mother, actually turns a woman into the masculine energy. Most mothers are way in their masculine energy, and that then of course also creates great conflict in the relationship with the partner, especially if in the beginning the mother was the feminine and the father was the masculine. And so lots of things to consider, lots of things to be aware of, lots of things to understand that need to be worked with and really understood, not only as the woman, but also as the couple, making such decisions. Good. So a lot of sharing on my part today. But I felt it was very inspiring to understand that not only am I channeling the goddess wisdom, but I've done the legwork, right? I know the full scale. And because I've done it, you can do it. And because I can share of my experience of having known the full spectrum, I can also speak from experience and tell you that the deeper you heal, the more that you get into your feminine energy, the more powerful you become, and the more wonderful life becomes. And again, it doesn't mean that you can't do whatever it is that you want to do. Being in your feminine energy on the red line doesn't limit you. It doesn't limit you at all. You can be anything you want to do, and you will do it 1,000 times better than when you were unhealed and still on the blue line in the masculine area. Good. From here, thank you for your energy. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence on this channel. And as always, I am sending love and light blessings to you and yours. Hugs and kisses. Ciao for now.